Go wrong, and they've had to, and actually, well, come back to that as Evesham bowls again, hits the pads up, one again is missing leg stump definitely, and it goes down, but the replay of the previous one, as the over ends at 149 for 7, showed that it was just brushing the leg stump, but I suppose it would have been one of those not outs on review because it wasn't hitting the full stump.
That is right, yes, it would have been the umpire's call, which...
there are lots of spectacular modern buildings here, and some not finished, but England will hope this innings isn't finished yet, but it's in danger of finishing rather suddenly now, and there's still quite a lot of cricket to be played. This is only the 60th over of the day, and Andrew, at the end of the over, perhaps you'll give us the statistics of that innings of 34 by Graham Swan. The new batsman Tremlett then to face his first ball from Abdul Rahman, who bowls to him straight on a fullish length, and Tremlett plays it calmly from the crease.
Will it force Pryor to change his tactics now?
Maybe, yes. I think Tremlett's an improved batsman, but he's not a proper batsman, if you know what I mean. In comes Rahman and buzz to him, and he plays calmly to mid-wicket, and there's no run off the front foot. But it's not easy, is it? Suddenly to switch gear, and
sure. Especially when you've been defending stoutly.
Yeah. And it's not as if the ball's coming on easily to the bat. Abdul Rahman bowls again, held that up a bit more, and a big appeal for LBWs you could probably hear, but not out, says Billy Bowden, but worth a shout. Tremlett, huge man of course, and coming well forward to it.
Even half a stride is what, about 5 meters long from the tall tail ender. But it was quicker one from Abdur Rahman, and it's a good over where we saw a bit of variety from him. A straighter arm ball and one that spun sharply to Castle Swan.
Which ended a partnership of 57, and Swan made 34.
Swan made 34, he batted for 69 minutes, facing 65 balls, and he hit 6 boundaries.
Thank you. Saeed Ajmal to continue from this end, not surprisingly. Should I have handed over to you, Henry? I've lost my sense of time. Never happened before. In comes Ashbal and is driven back up the pitch. I'm trying to remember when we started after tea. I'll do one more ball and then I'll usher you in quickly. Ajmal round the wicket, long stride, and then he comes in with very short steps, that little pause, and he's driven again by Pryor to teep it off, and he gets a run, which is roundly cheered. That is 151 for 8, and with apologies to Henry Blofeld, I'm going to hand over to him in mid-over.
Yeah. Well, it was Yunus Khan at mid-off who did a fine job. He's a good athlete and certainly stopping a boundary. Hello, Henry.
I think it's a bit like mid-air refueling, but we don't expect CMJ to be on time, and it ruin the fun if he was. And now there's chairs, beastly chairs gone, and what's happened? It's fixed to the ground. Oh, now sit down. It's splendid. I don't know what he did to the chair. Anyway, Ajmal is going to bowl in just a moment to Tremlett. We got a slip in the gully and a forward short leg, so the attack is on, so to speak. Here's Ajmal. He's up to the wicket now. He's there. He bowls. Tremlett is forward and gets a run. Everyone is yelling and hands are going up on people's heads. He pushed forward, and it might have gone anywhere, but in fact he went square leg off a thickish inside edge, and he's off the mark, rather improbably. So 153 for 8. There's often a bit of an element of farce about the real lower order, isn't there?
Yes, that's right, yes.
And England need anything at all they can laugh at the moment, I think.
That's right, but obviously he was set up for his dusra. Slip in a gully, was there for an outside edge.
Yeah. And here is Ajmal now to Pryor, and Pryor just goes across the back foot, and then the front foot follows it, and he just pushes out on the offside. And Akmal comes sprinting out behind the stumps, picks up at silly point, and returns to the bowler. The shadows of this stand now are almost halfway across the stumps, across the pitch, and Ajmal is in again. And Pryor goes and cuts delicately and gets one to deep backward point, and Shimal comes in and throws back to the bowler's end. So 154 now for 8. Pryor goes on to 44. And now back come the close fielders for Tremlett, Sip Gully and the forward short leg. And how's the tall man going to cope this time? Ajmal it is in. Pass umpire Oxford bowls. And oh my goodness me, Tremlett stretches forward. There's an appeal. I'm not quite certain what it was for, but I don't think there was any chance it was likely to be given out. It's the end of the over, and Tremlett comes rather thoughtfully down the wicket. He clearly didn't understand that one at all.
Yeah, I mean, how many times you've seen Said Ashmal to beat the bat and beat the front pad, because that ball also hit the back leg, because it was his two-strike. He bowls from around the wicket angle, looks to be more in charge, in control when he's doing that.
At the top of the stumps,
yeah,
isn't it? Amazing. Anyway, Pryor survives, and Adnam Akmal couldn't take that one. Has Ajmal again, and Pryor just plays that quietly down to forward short leg. But it was an extraordinary ball. He came down the wicket, changed his mind, went back, missed the ball. It went over the off stump. The wicketkeeper missed it too. There was no stumping chance. Good. Pryor was back. It was just a very near miss. Ajmal in again, up to the wicket. He's there, well, Pryor's down the wicket and drives this hard. He's going to be fielded there at long on, and Pryor's going to get a single, which means that Tremlett's going to come down and suffer the agonies, I dare say, if Ajmal's last over was going to go by, when Tremlett survived it, but quite how, I'm not sure. 162 for 8 the score. Pryor has gone to 52, and now the gully is coming in for the enormously tall figure of Tremlett, and Tremlett stands there looking like a man who's not quite certain that he wants to hit it for 6 or just block it. Here is Ajmal in the shadow now, up, in, he bows, and Tremlett plays at that outside the off stump, withdraws his bat after the ball's gone past, and it's taken there by Akmal behind the wicket. And Ajmal walking back, keen as mustard. He's got 5 wickets. We've got 2 more balls left, Andrew. 2 balls left. We've got a short mid wicket and a short fine leg coming in. And here now comes Rahman in, bows and Prowse down the wicket. A tremendous drive. It's gone away for 4 runs, through the covers, or in fact over the covers. And that was the most emphatic blow. And 4 off this ball and 1 off the next, and it had been the perfect last 2 balls for England. It's 166 now for 8, Pryor's 56. Hit that well, didn't he?
Yeah.
Kicking horse time.
Just gave himself some room onto the leg side and smashed it. Just missed by just put cover up onto the 1. Yeah, they're very wary that they want to keep Matthew Pryor on strike. They've still got long on and long off out. Man out on the sweep, but they're trying to keep him on the strike. 2 balls left in the over. Will he do it again?
What fun this is. Here comes Rahman again into Pryor. Pryor tries to fiddle that away on the leg side, but...
Oh, 1 ball left.
There was indeed. There were 2 balls left the ball before. And fielded at mid-wicket. It was Yunus Khan who stopped it. And the score at the end of that over, 166 for 8. Tremlett still on 1, but is in strike, which is the a slightly dicey moment for England. And Pryor has got 56.
Yeah, hasn't he played well? I mean, you look at that, 56 off 128 balls. So he's defended a lot of balls. I don't know how many duck balls he's had, but there's plenty of them. And that's what you have to do against real quality spinner, which Ajmal is. You've got to be able to stay out there. You've got to be able to defend his good balls. But he's also got to have the ability to hit his bad balls and just, more importantly, pick this doosra. If you don't pick the doosra, you're knackered.
Well, now, I don't think Tremlett's got any prize at picking the doosra.
He ain't going to be long with Tremlett.
I don't think so. Ajmal's going to bowl to him. He's going to bowl over the wicket, Zip Gully and forward short leg. And here he comes, Ajmal, and Tremlett is forward. And the ball just trickles back on the onside, and Ajmal runs across and picks it up. There's a gentleman walking around the boundary there, left, right, left, a rather slow military walk. Don't know what he's doing. There's someone going towards him. Exciting. A meeting of great minds. And now the fielder at deep backward square leg has been brought up to save for 1. That's Umar goal. And here comes Ajmal in, bows to Tremlett. Tremlett goes back, slips, hands go up, wicketkeeper's hands go up, but the ball's kept out and it's picked up at backward point. Squirted away, bit of bat, a bit of pad.
Fast off spinner. Oh, it just crept through. He did well to get his bat on that, Chris Tremlett, but you can tell two slipped through in place for that deuce through the edge. But that was the quick off-spinner that he bowled into the pitch, like skidded onto the stumps. Difficult to face.
Ajmal comes in again, bowls, and Tremlett forward, pushing out on the onside. Ajmal goes twinkling across as though he sensed a single there. Picks it up. In fact, it would have gone harmless if it would have been on. There wouldn't have been a single. There was no real chance of that. But Ajmal wasn't taking the risk. Here he is again, up to the wicket. He's there now. He bowls to Tremlett. Tremlett's forward, and it tickles that round the corner to Umar Gul at short fine leg, and there is no run. How many more balls, Andrew? 2 more balls, and so can Tremlett hang on? Pryor won't be running singles now. Tremlett's got to face both these two, and Umar Gul is now going back from short fine leg to deep backward square, about 2/3 the way back to the fence. And here comes Ajmal. Up to the wicket now, he's there, he bowls, and Tremlett comes forward as to the manner born. And here is Rahman again. In, bowls, and Pryor is forward. Is he caught there at slip? Not carried. It didn't carry, did it? They, for great excitement, and it is Hafiz at slip who rolled over, and his initial movement suggested he might be about to claim a catch, but then I think by the time he'd finished his unofficial somersault, he realised that it just hadn't carried. Yes, it went to him on the bounce.
Good spin though, Henry. Spinning more as the day goes on. I mean, good signs for Graham Swan. He'll have to bowl a lot of overs and only have the one spinner.
Rahman in again, bowls to Pryor. Pryor just defends, pushing it back to the bowler, who picks it up and looks at Pryor. And
a nice beard, hasn't he, Matthew Pryor? He's got a beard growing again.
I don't think he's going to win a beauty contest, whether he throws it or shaves it. Here comes Rahman again, and Pryor paddles that one round the corner, and it's going to be fielded down below us at fine leg, and they've got a single. So Pryor now goes to 57.
Say that about someone.
167 for 8, what did you say?
You can't say that about someone.
Well, I can. You wouldn't win a beauty contest, certainly. Certainly if you haven't shaved, don't shave.
What about my shorts?
Your knees failed a beauty contest at breakfast.
I want you to negotiate my shorts into breakfast.
When the waiter,
What's your job?
The waiter, that lovely lady there, I mean, she felt, she was wobbling a bit when I went in a bit later. And, anyway,
well, then you could. Scorecard if you're kind of positive. Next season, I think I should give you the bowling.
You've got it already, have you?
He's up to 31 out of his 90 test wickets. Albert.
So he's got a third, doesn't he, give or take?
Amazing.
That's quite a lot, you know, isn't it, that? I mean, off-spinner, you used to talk about in English cricket about...
Of this over, Henry, do you want to sit so that I can hold the seat down for you this time?
Well, they are known to make a few mistakes. They're the Pakistanis. They're a bit flirty and flighty with their shot play. I've watched them. They're talented. They get away with it quite a bit when they play on these sort of subcontinent pitches which have no great bounce.
And it's Anderson in, bowls, and forward there comes Hafiz, and the ball just goes back down the pitch. Well, this is a desperately important last 15 overs of the day. If England are going to get back into this match, Jeffrey, they've got to start making inroads now, haven't they?
Well, they've got tonight, which is a good time because the bowlers are fresh, and they've got tomorrow morning session and the first few overs after lunch, and they've got to do something with that period of play.
Anderson in, bowls to Hafiz, who comes forward. The ball rolls off the face of the bat there to Peterson in the gully, and there is no run. The ground, or the square, the playing area, the business area, completely in shadow now, but the ring of fire is alight. We've got lights all the way around the ground, and I must say at night, to see these lights must be a marvellous sight, because it is a complete ring. They're about 1.5 foot apart.
And have 5 bowlers, but with Breslin being injured, only got Broad. I think they stuck to the normal way they have of 3 seamers. It's going to take something to bowl Pakistan out with 3 seamers.
And it's Tremlett now in, bowls to Tawfiq, who tries to turn it round the corner. The first run comes off the pad, and Pryor goes across, drops a glove on it, and Billy Bowden signals an avuncular leg by. So Pakistan won for no wicket, and Well, people will be turning on all the time. We'll go through the rather gloomy news of the England scorecard again. Bowled out for 192. Strauss bowled Ajmal 19. Cook caught Akmal, bowled Hafiz 3. Trott caught Akmal, bowled Chima for 17. And here now, no, Hafiz still not finished taking guard. Peterson LBW bowled Ajmal for 2. Bell caught Akmal behind the stumps of Ajmal's naught. He was out first ball. Morgan LBW bowled Ajmal for 24. Pryor not out 70. Broad LBW bowled Ajmal 8. And Swan bowled Ajmal for 34. Tremlett LBW Ajmal for 1. And Anderson LBW bowled Ajmal for 12. 192 all out. And the bowling, Saeed Ajmal, main bowler, 24 overs and 3 maidens, 7 maidens, sorry, 24.3 overs, 7 maidens, 7 for 55. And now Tremlett, here he is. Coming in up to the wicket, bowls to Hafiz. Hafiz is forward, the slips jump, Strauss at first slip, their lips in the air, and Swan at second did a slight sort of shuss, but the ball was pushed down on the offside, and there is no run.
There's a no ball too, Henry.
Oh, I didn't see that, thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, so it wouldn't have counted even if he got him out.
No, only maybe a run out, can't you, off a no ball. And Tremlett referred to Stephen Finn for this match. Here he comes again, leaping up the wicket. He's there, he bowls, and that's played away by Hafiz, past Bell at short leg, and goes out to mid-wicket, and there is just the single. So 3 for no wicket, and umpire Oxenwood just walks quickly across, left, right, left, to take up his position at square leg for the left-handed Tawfiq. And here now is Tremlett. 3 slips to gully and a forward short leg. Tremlett in now, he bowls, and that's outside the off stump, he plays no stroke, and through it goes to Pryor. And the pressure very much on. Tawfiq walks away to square leg. Pryor goes walking almost up to the stumps, and Anderson first slip throws the ball down the ground. England just waiting for something to happen. And when you've been sent back as quickly as they have today, and your hearts are rather in your boots, you desperately want something to happen now. A quick wicket would put things right a bit. In comes Tremlett again, and Tawfiq is forward. That one goes to Bell, quickly to Bell at short leg, who flicks it back at the stumps, but Tawfiq scrambles back. He doesn't look comfortable, walking away again to square leg to summon his concentration, and at the other end, Hafiz just wipes a little bit of loose stuff off the pitch. 3 slips of gully, backward point, mid-off, mid-on, forward short leg, and a fine leg down there to our right, in front of the England dressing room. The England dressing room is to the right-hand side of the side screen, the Pakistan dressing room to the left-hand side. And Tremlett it is again, in now, bowls to Tawfiq, and Tawfiq forward, and the ball just goes up the pitch a yard or 2, and it is Bell from forward short leg who goes after it and retrieves it. Tawfiq, one of the great pacers, goes away again towards square leg and rehearses a stroke. You can feel the tension out there. It is very exciting. And I think it's very exciting on that road at the other side of the ground there. Cars still streaming by. And, well, the driving record here isn't absolutely peerless. I'm afraid there have been 1 or 2 prangs in the short time, even since I've here. And here's Tremlett again, short outside the off stump. Tawfiq plays no stroke, raises his bat above his head, and through it goes now to Pryor, who sprints off to the other end. 3 for no wicket after 2 overs. 1 to Hafiz, Tawfiq not yet off the mark.
Yeah, that's just enough to encourage the bowlers. Not because there's a lot of movement, there's no real seam movement, there's a bit of swing there for Jimmy Anderson, and it's just the newness of the ball and the openers. I've seen these 2 openers before. They they tend to give you a little bit of a chance. If it's their day and your good balls don't get wickets, then they'll get away with a few runs and a few shots, but they're not the sort of openers normally that dig in. You usually think, well, hang on, I just fancy my chances here a bit.
And here's Anderson starting in over, bowls out to Hafiz. Hafiz gets onto the back foot, plays it down to Broad at mid-off, and there is no run. And when I read the scorecard out a few minutes ago, I made a mistake. I said was, I think, bowled by Ajmal, Saeed Ajmal. He wasn't, he was bowled by Abdul Rahman. So correct that, and Victor Marks now takes over from Geoffrey Boycott. And Anderson walking back slowly, a white sweatband round his left wrist, and here he comes in up to the wicket now. He's there, he bowls to Hafiz, who goes back. It's quite a small man, a bit of a hopper, skip and a jump, plays that with great control down to Broad, who's fielding there at a wide mid-off. He's walking in, just got into the little bit of grass that the sun is still shining upon. The stadium now is almost completely in shadow. The lights are on, the ring all around the grounds. There's rather a smart orange crane up there. It looks so distantly related to the ones we see over by Paddington Station when the Test match is played at Lord's. Maybe it comes from the same bloodlines, who knows. And here now is Anderson, kicking up his heels as he goes. He's there now, he bowls. Oh, and that one moved away from the right-hander, and Hafiz came forward, didn't catch up with the ball. It went past the outside edge, through there to Matt Pryor.
Bit of swing. We haven't seen much swing all day. In fact, a little bit of swing, but also that hit the seam and just left him off the pitch, didn't it? It was a good ball. Had to play it, I think, or he was dragged into playing it because it was quite full in length, and it did leave him too good, in fact.
Yes, he was. I mean, he was nowhere, was he? He was back, was miles from his pad. And here is Anderson again into Hafiz. All goes back, runs that into the gully. Pearson is there very quickly indeed, and returns the ball to Pryor, and then Swan continues the job of polishing the ball. Cook, rather, continues the job of polishing it at third slip. Cook is, of course, the polisher-in-chief in this England side. And Anderson it is once more. 3 steps to gully, they go down. Here's Anderson, he's up to the wicket now, he bowls. And Hafiz plays this off the back foot to chase there for Owen Morgan from cover. A sliding stop. He flicks the ball back to Peterson and keeps them to a couple of runs. So Hafiz now goes to 3, and Pakistan 5 for no wicket in reply to England's rather meagre 192. I must say, England started this series as the best Test side in the world, and after this morning,
You could say he was legitimately dismissed today, if you like. They were nice to the first ball, were they? Did you?
Just written. Well right. Of the batsman, I mean, I think Graham Swan
Tremblett was totally
got a good ball.
innocent too. I think he could have done about that with number 10.
Well, yeah, he missed it, didn't he? But Swan got a good ball too.
This is the second oldest Pakistan team ever in a Test match.
Ever.
When was the first then? Do we know that?
We do, yes.
Good.
The average age of this team is 30 years and 326 days. In 1980-81 they played against West Indies in Multan, and the average age of that team was 31 years and 45 days.
Victor, you've got enough to write about today. You haven't got to fill it up with
Well, no, but
with padding like that.
I wasn't padding in my piece about the air. That may come later in the series.
They're fine stats, Andrew. Well done. Well done for researching those.
They are. I wouldn't have... I'd struggle to get that one.
Here's Anderson starting into you over, and Taufik comes forward to the first ball on the off stump, which is played back to the...
I mean, this is a very boring question, but I may as well ask it, and I presume it won't be difficult. What's the average age of the England team by comparison?
Oh, we're not being harsh.
Well, no, Andrew eats those things for breakfast. That's not a problem.
He's had a busy day, though. He's been scribbling away.
Yeah, but it'd be quite interesting to know the difference, wouldn't it? The tables are turned. In the old days, it used to be old England and very young, vibrant Pakistan.
Yes, it did. It did. 20 for no wicket. We're in the 7th over of Pakistan's reply. Anderson bowls, and that's driven past mid-off. He dived there. May have got a bit of a hand to it, but it's coming down to the boundaries, Broad, and he should just get there in time. He does, sliding, scooping it back. And Clemnett does the rest, but they'd have taken 3. England trying to pitch it up, to be fair, trying to get the ball to swing, but there's nothing there. You'd rather see bowlers like Anderson driven in that direction than see them cut or pulled, but good shots. Pakistan looking confident.
Well, this will be England's worst day of Test cricket for a long, long time. I mean, possibly Perth, but even then they seem to be more in the game at Perth until they sort of the game ran away. Yeah.
Andrew Strauss's and Andy Flower's first Test match together.
Jamaica. Yeah, I think Jamaica, they can still get out of this hole. They were bowled out for 51 in Jamaica. Yeah, that's fair enough.
Jerome Taylor. Then goes Anderson. Only bowls, and Hafiz placed slightly across his front pad. They're not getting very far forward. Bells the fielder at mid-wicket.
Broad's loosening. Might come instead of trim left. I mean, Pakistan would love the fact too that they've picked their balance of attack, and for whatever reason, their spinners have got 9 wickets. And it's not looking very helpful to the England seamers at the moment.
It certainly isn't. Pretty gun barrel straight. Anderson runs in and bowls, and Hafiz stands up, punches off the back foot. More runs here. That's hit away through the offside. Morgan's chasing it now. All that seems to be happening in the last few minutes are shots being played and the ball being chased around by the fielders.
And they're good shots. It's not as if it's rubbish bowling, but it's just a slight margin for error. The ball too, it's hard at the moment. In some ways it's easier to score, I suspect. Now, if it's not moving too much, then it will be later in the innings, and they're taking their opportunities. They're looking very calm.
Andrew's got it. To losing his off stump. 26 for no wicket, Hafiz 16. And Tawfiq has 8. Over middle and off.
Over middle, yeah. Well, it must be. I mean, we didn't play on the review system, but if you do review it and then you see that ball go right in the middle of the middle stump, then it's probably time to go. And I suspect at some point you'll be reminded of that again.
In goes Anderson. He bowls. Lovely drive that from Tawfiq. He does play off that front foot really stylishly. Left-handers seem to have that little bit more style somehow than right. Not all of them, but most do. And he's got some. Lovely. I was watching him bat.
Yeah, well, England struggled to time the ball, but Tawfiq, in this brief little innings, has timed the ball very easily, and he's comfortable with it.
pitching or short mid-wicket. There's mid-wicket, mid-on, mid-off is out, points out. Sweet man, they want to get to the left-hander. Yep. I don't mind if Hafiz gets a single here.
Swan bows to Hafiz, and he pushes very unhelpfully from England's point of view straight to the one man saving one on the offside. And there's no run. Mohammad Hafiz 21 not out, and Swan shows the ball to the umpire and then throws it to to Cook at forward short leg. Cook throws it to Pryor, and Pryor's going to show it to,
I think he's just working out which side he should be signing. I mean, it's
extraordinary.
How many overs have we bowled? 14.1 overs. I don't know which side they're going to shine yet.
Actually, it's not Strauss, it's Anderson at first slip. So Anderson is master of the
passing the ball, and I don't want it.
It's like one of those livery companies where they drink out of kissing cups. It comes. Swan does outside the off stump, and Hafiz obligingly does take the single with 4 balls of the day to go. And if England don't get a wicket in one of these 4 balls, they will have had, I think it would be no exaggeration to say, a rather catastrophic day in cricketing terms.
Outplayed.
Yeah.
From about the 5th point what over? When did Hafiz get his first one?
6th over.
5.3 overs have been completely outplayed. Clever by Pakistan, and Misbah in particular putting Hafiz on so early.
3 men round the bat now, and a short mid-off as Swan does a full toss, which is a hit for 4 gratefully by Tawfiq Umar, and that was not in the script at all. Tapped away with great authority, but really Swan, that was a horrible ball.
I haven't seen bowl many of those. That's a full toss, a proper fine. He acknowledges Andrew Strauss, a little wave of the hand to say sorry.
Comes around the wicket now to bowl for the left-hander, who pushes to forward short leg, and there's no run. It's just what you want as a close fielder in slightly dodgy light, isn't it, where he comes on and bowls a big full toss for the ball. Silly mid-off, silly mid-on, slip, short mid-off, he bowls, and Tawfiq Umar goes right forwards, so his front knees completely bent, and plays it head over the ball. Absolutely no way he was going to miss that. 1 ball to go, and then Pakistan's triumphant first day will be completed. Swan bows round the wicket, and Umar plays it more or less with a stick of rhubarb in the middle of the bat, defensively off the front foot, and it's a pity in a way. But because of working arrangements here in this vast city of Dubai, and state indeed, emirate of Dubai, that so few Pakistan supporters were here to see what's been a wonderful day for them. England all out for 192, and Pakistan at the close of play 42 for no wicket, precisely 150 behind. Hafiz is 22 not out, and Tawfiq Umar is 18 not out. And slightly, well, deep down, I'm sure a very disconsolate England leave the field. Now, I think if I were Andy Flower, I'd say, remember the Gabba. We looked down and out there, but they've got a really tough task to get back into this game.
Yeah, I mean, the Gabba they were down at, but I don't think they were as far as this. You know, this is a little bit of a series of the unknown for this team, because they've not played in the subcontinent, this England side. They've played in South Africa, Australia at home, got the ball swinging around, haven't faced any really world-class spinners. They finally come up against one in his own backyard, and it hasn't done a great deal. And he's got 7 for 55. They've got 112 runs and fallen 9 wickets to the spinners of Pakistan. You know, they've got to come and somehow learn from what they've done. If they do that, they've got half a chance. But if Ajmal continues to do what he's done today, well, I'm sorry, he's going to win the series for Pakistan. The 2 opening batsmen played nicely. Ball swung around a little bit, but these pitches are good. It's a belter. You'd say par score would be probably 400, so England are on 200 and odd runs light of a par score. As I said, it didn't do a great deal. And they got out playing some poor shots, so they'll know in that dressing room, they'll, you know, I've just seen them clap each other off, but they'll know they're
One very quick
properly
question
let themselves down.
as I make way for Jonathan. Is it feasible for very, very good players, as some of these England players should be, the top batsmen, to read him once it's left his hand, in other words, to see which way it's spinning?
Yeah, of course you can. You can always see the revolutions on the ball. You know, it's a lot easier if you can spot it earlier just from out the hand, because obviously the sooner you pick which way it's going to be going, you can then play your shots accordingly, and the more time you've got to play your shots, the better chance you have of executing them. He's been outstanding, so has Mr. the Pakistan captain, the way that he rotated the bowlers. They look a team that's really up for it. They look a confident team. They've won series. They look fit. Pakistan look like quite an athletic team. I saw them training hard at tea times, the guys that weren't playing. Not seen that before. And they're going to be a tough nut to crack, and I think they've got a big job on their hands tomorrow. How are they going to get out of it? Well, they've got to get early wickets, simple as that.
Yes, thank you, Michael. God, you've got commitments to fulfil. Thanks for your company today. We'll see you later on, I'm sure. It has been an action-packed day, and Geoffrey and I will review it in a moment or two. Geoffrey settling beside me. So this is our review of the day. It'll of course be downloadable as a podcast a little bit later on, and there is also that highlights programme running throughout the afternoon, starting from 2 o'clock on 5 Live Sports Extra. So the end of the first day of this Test series, very much Pakistan.
Do for myself, though I had a strong feeling of guilt at letting the family business down. After the invasion of Czechoslovakia, it became more and more obvious that war was not only inevitable but imminent, and some of my Eton friends and I thought we must do something to prepare ourselves for it. We'd all been in the Corps school, and at one of our lunches in the city decided we should try to get onto the reserve of some regiment. We were unanimous in thinking that if we had to fight, we might as well be in the best and most efficient regiment. So we went right to the top and applied to the Grenadier Guards, the senior regiment of Foot Guards. My first cousin Boy Browning was then commanding the 2nd Battalion. They had just returned from 2 years in Egypt and were stationed at Wellington Barracks. Boy was later to become the founder and first commander of the Airborne Division, and it must have been due to him that I and 5 or 6 others were accepted for training by the Grenadiers and placed on the Officer Cadet Reserve. In October, we reported at the Royal Military College at Sandhurst for a 4-month course. It was being turned into an OCTU, and we were its very first victims. There were lots of people like myself, most of them in the middle 20s, who'd come from jobs in the city or one of the professions. It was much like going back to school, but the great thing was that we did not have to think. Everything was organised for us, and we were told exactly what to do and soon automatically did it. After the first shocks of reveille at 6 AM and long doses of PT and drill, we soon settled down and began to enjoy ourselves. Of course, it was a strange mixture of war and peace. We still each had a room to ourselves with a batman to look after us, and our Sergeant Smith would call us Sir with one corner of his mouth and hand out the most terrible rockets with the other. He was even funnier with the regimental Sergeant Major. We had to call him Sir as well. He used to say, I call you Sir, and you call me Sir. The only difference is that you mean it. While the 30 War continued in Europe, we were gradually being turned into officers. The various regimental colonels came down to vet us and check up on our progress. By February, we'd all been accepted. Then came the final passing out parade, and finally the last day when we put on our officers' uniforms for the first time. The NCOs who'd been ordering us around and handing out rockets for the last few months now had to salute us. And I shall always remember the twinkle in Dusty Smith's eye when he told me off a beauty as I drove away. It was quite a moment, a commissioned officer in the Brigade of Guards. A bit prefabricated perhaps, but at least there was one pip on my shoulder to prove it. I must confess, it's highly embarrassing walking about the West End and having to acknowledge salutes as well as give them. After appearing with the training battalion of the Grenadier Guards of Windsor, we moved to Parkton in Dorset, and it was obvious that my superiors felt I'd never make a good fighting soldier. From the motorcycle platoon, I was sent on an MT course to Minehead, with a view to becoming the transport officer, although I was not in the least technically minded. But I had a bit of luck. At the end of the course there was to be an exam, which I was dreading. On the night before, a friend who'd been on the course with me was duty officer, and to his surprise found next day's questions in the in-tray in the adjutant's room. When he came off duty, he rushed round to me with a copy, and we hurriedly looked up the answers. As a result, I passed during the night. In May 1941, I found myself being groomed for the job of technical adjutant. This involved learning some highly technical matters which I never really came to understand. I was remained technical adjutant for the next 4 years until the Guards Armoured Division was disbanded in July 1945. The next 2 years we spent training with our tanks. We went to Norfolk and trained in the battle area, which was later used by Dad's Army for all the action scenes in their TV series. It was there that we received our first Sherman tanks, with which we were later to fight. It was also there in Norfolk that the first steps in my BBC career were unknowingly taken. I was sitting in our mess one day when a great friend in our 1st Battalion, Nigel Baker, telephoned to say he had a chap for the BBC staying in his mess. He was a Canadian called Stuart McPherson, who was attached to them to gain experience as a war reporter ready for when the Second Front came. Nigel asked whether they could come over for dinner and also bring another BBC reporter who was attached to the Irish Guards for the same purpose. Of course I said yes, and we had a hilarious evening, which was not surprising really, because the second reporter was that effervescent Welshman, Winford Vaughan Thomas. I saw a lot of them during the next few weeks, and though I didn't know it at the time, this chance meeting with these two famous broadcasters was to change my whole life. On the 6th of June came John Snagg's announcement on the BBC that the invasion had started. From then on, we were on permanent standby. We moved to near Portsmouth, where we loaded our tanks and vehicles onto a landing craft and crossed over to Arromanches in a large convoy. After nearly 3 years of training and learning to be tank men, we were about to be put to the test. At last, we were genuinely at war. I can't claim to have had a distinguished war. I was only the technical adjutant, and though I was often too damn close, I was not one of those fighting the battles in the tanks. They're the people best qualified to tell the tale. But I shall never forget those hot summer days from June to October, the frustrations of Normandy, with the Yanks getting all the headlines and glory, a mad dash across France and Belgium to liberate Brussels, then into Holland to capture Nijmegen Bridge, and towards the end of March crossing the Rhine and fighting our way up to Bremen and Hamburg. And then, after 6 long years, peace at last. We heard the news on the radio on May the 5th, and it was amazing how calmly everyone took it. As far as I can remember, I went and sat on the loo out of sheer relief. Back in England, I drew my blue pinstripe D-mob suit and tried to decide what to do with my future. I was more determined than ever to do something in the entertainment world, but I realized my limitations only too well. If I wanted to become an actor, it would mean learning the business from the bottom, either in repertory or in drama school. I was now aged 33 and felt it was too late in life to start. So I decided to try for the management or production side of the business. I came up to London and stayed in the Guards Club, which was then in Brook Street. First of all, I went to the office to say goodbye to everyone and to thank Arthur Whitworth for all he'd done to help me and to apologise for leaving them in the lurch. I then set about seeing some theatrical managers and producers who were all very kind and sympathetic, but it soon became obvious that they had nothing to offer me, which was not really surprising because I had nothing in the way of experience or ability to offer them. I trailed around for about a fortnight and began to get very depressed. What was I going to do? And then luck, of which I freely admit I've had more than my fair share, came to my aid. I was sitting rather gloomily reading a paper in the Guards Club when an old officer friend asked me whether I'd like to have dinner and help entertain 2 BBC types whom he gathered I already knew. They were, of course, Stuart McPherson and Winford Vaughan Thomas, and it was this second dinner party with them that was to decide my future. During conversation I casually mentioned I was looking for a job in the entertainment world but couldn't think exactly what to do. At that time I never gave a thought to the BBC, which I regarded with a mixture of respect and tolerant amusement at its auntie image. steward said nothing that evening, but next day rang to say that there was a vacancy in the outside broadcast department, and would I like to come up to the Oxford Portland place for an interview with the head of OB's, Seymour de la Binière, or Lobby as he was always called. I went to see him without honestly thinking there was much in it for me. His secretary told me the wrong time for the interview, so although I arrived in true Guards time 5 minutes early for parade, I nearly missed it altogether. In the time available, Lobby quizzed me about my knowledge of entertainment and sport, and seemed particularly keen to discover whether I was interested in people. At the end of the interview, he said he'd give me 2 tests, and if I passed them, he would then... Well, I was doing a broadcast of a variety show. When I introduced her to Dorothy Squires and Billy Reid, Dorothy asked, "Are you 2 engaged?" Well, we weren't then, but 10 days after our first meeting, I proposed. Pauline played for time a bit before giving her answer, and I don't blame her. However, she finally accepted me on the 6th of January, just over a month since we'd first met. My mother was delighted, and the Tozers, though slightly taken aback by the speed of the whole thing, seemed quite happy and gave their approval. They wanted us to get married in June, but I pointed out this might mean me missing the Lord's Test against Australia. So in the end, we were married at St Paul's Knightsbridge on the 22nd of April. In the cricket world, there was great excitement at the arrival of Don Bradman's Australian team. This 1948 team was probably the best team Australia has ever sent to England. It had everything, and was full of great and exciting cricket. It was about the Headingley Test that one of cricket's best ever stories was told. It's probably apocryphal, but I hope not. The England team had assembled at the Queen's Hotel in Leeds on the Wednesday afternoon before the match, but Alec Bedser and Jack Crapp were late arriving. Surrey had been playing Gloucestershire, and they travelled up to Leeds together. Jack went into the hotel first ahead of Alec and approached the girl receptionist, who didn't recognise him as one of the England team. "Bedser," she said. "No, Crapp," replied Jack, thinking she'd mistaken him for Alec. "Second door on the left," said the receptionist, and returned to her books. Let's Go Somewhere was a programme I did every Saturday in Town Tonight. Over 4 years I did 150, and the important thing about them was that they were live, not recorded, so I had to try to get everything right, as there could be no retakes. The idea was to do something exciting or amusing, and among the many things I did was singing in the street disguised as a tramp, lying under a train, riding a horse bareback in the circus, being hypnotised, spending a night in the Chamber of Horrors, and being shampooed and shaved by the Crazy Gang in front of the audience during one of their shows on stage at the Victoria Palace. Obviously, sometimes I got it right, and occasionally it went wrong, but it was a perfect training ground for a broadcaster, because while doing these antics, it was important to forget the microphone. Let's Go Somewhere was the programme which put me on the map professionally, not just with 20 million listeners to In Town Tonight, but with my BBC bosses back in Broadcasting House. 1949 was an important year for Pauline and me. We'd found a house in St John's Wood, 1A Cavendish Avenue, just about 85 yards from the nursery end at Lord's. It was possible on big match days to hear the applause and the oohs and ahs of the crowd, and I became quite expert in guessing whether it was the fall of a wicket, a boundary or a dropped catch. Just after midnight, on Easter Sunday, 17th of April, our eldest son Barry was born in the Lindo wing of St Mary's Hospital, Paddington. He arrived a fortnight early, and I'm ashamed to say that I failed to carry out the traditional father's role of pacing up and down the corridors of the hospital. In fact, I was fast asleep at home and was woken by the telephone with the good news. Pauline still thinks that I should have been there by her side, and I'm sure she's right. I did better with the other 4. Television had still been confined to the Lord's and Oval tests, but in 1950 the Sutton Coldfield transmitter was opened, and we were able to televise the Trent Bridge test as well. It was a cold and wet summer, and there was a decline in the standard of cricket played in the county championship. But the season was saved by the brilliance and exuberance of John Gollard's West Indian touring side. They won the Test Series 3-1, and won their first ever test in England at Lord's. This was followed by scenes of wild enthusiasm, with the crowds rushing across the ground to the front of the pavilion, where Lord Kitchener sang a calypso, especially composed for the occasion. There must have been much subterranean activity that day in the churchyards of England as old MCC members turned in their graves. A calypso on the hallowed turf at Lord's? By Gatter! 1952 was a year of great variety and quite a few firsts for me. In January, Max Robertson fell ill, and I went at the last moment as co-driver and co-broadcaster with Richard Dimbleby on the Monte Carlo Rally. We weren't competing as Raymond Baxter used to do in later years, but we travelled in Richard's touring Allard and broadcast from the various report centres along the route. We were always tail end Charlie, as our broadcasts were so timed that we could describe how everyone was doing at each stage of the rally. To start with, the weather was fine, but the further south we got, the worse it became. First it rained, then it froze, and the roads became like an ice rink. Then it started to snow, and we bought some snow chains which promptly broke. We got miles behind the other competitors and failed to make Monte Carlo for the planned evening broadcast. We sent back a report from a hotel bedroom in Dean, where we were forced to spend the night as the snowstorm made conditions impossible. Richard had done most of the driving and was dog-tired. We had a steak for supper, and as Richard put his fork into his mouth, his head fell forward, and there he was, fast asleep with the fork in his mouth. As a result of the Monte Carlo adventure with Richard, I reported the rally for radio for the next 6 years. It was a very pleasant annual excursion from the cold and fog of an English January to the sunshine and gaiety of Monte Carlo. And although it was hard work, we managed to enjoy ourselves as well. One year, I was invited to dinner with Sir Bernard and Lady Docker on board their famous yacht Shamara in Cannes Harbour. It was an hilarious evening, during which we played tiddlywinks, and Lady Docker summoned the captain to the dining saloon and sacked him on the spot. I must say, he didn't seem very concerned at the time, but afterwards I discovered it was an almost nightly performance. 1952 was also a key year for the television crew, because the home Moss transmitter was now open, which meant that for the first time we were able to televise the Old Trafford and Headingley tests. The Indians were the visitors, and we went to Worcester to televise their first match. As usual, it rained, and we had to fill in time with interviews under umbrellas. The Indians had an amusing and volatile manager called Gupta, who spoke very quickly and perhaps did not quite understand English all that perfectly. Anyway, I interviewed him and asked him about the Indian team. What about your batsmen, I asked. Oh, we've got 7 very good batsmen, he replied. And your bowlers? Oh, 6 very good bowlers indeed. I thought we were not getting very far, so I switched my questions to him personally. I said, what about yourself? Are you a selector? No, he replied, I'm a Christian. I hurriedly changed the subject and asked him what he thought of the weather. During my time as a cricket commentator, I've become famous for some of the gaffes I've made on the air. All of them unintentional, I assure you. During this summer, I made what was probably the first of them, when I was broadcasting for radio on the Hampshire v Surrey match at Southampton. Rex Alston was up at Evesham covering one of Warwickshire's matches, and close of play there was not until 7 p.m. At 6:30 at Southampton, as the players left the field, I said something like, well, that's the close of play here with Hampshire 301 all out, but they're going on playing till 7 o'clock at Edgbaston, so over there now for some more balls from Rex Alston. I really did not mean to say it, and luckily none of my bosses seemed to notice. In spite of my doing so much cricket, I still kept up with my contacts in the entertainment world. We continued to broadcast excerpts from the West End shows, and during the summer started a new series, Saturday Night at the London Palladium. In addition, we began to broadcast the Royal Variety Performance every year. After 24 years, but it would have been nice to have been told. In place of the South African tour, a 5-test series was quickly arranged against a strong rest of the world side, containing, ironically, 5 top South African players, the 2 Pollocks, Barlow, Richards and Proctor. England, not unexpectedly, lost the series 4-1 against the very powerful world side captained by Gary Sobers. Ray Illingworth captained England and remarkably was top scorer with 476 runs, averaging 52.88. This form ensured his selection as captain of MCC for the winter tour of Australia and New Zealand. For the first time, there were to be 6 tests in Australia, so as to include Perth. And for the first time too, I was to cover all the tests for BBC. Previously, I'd always missed the first test of Brisbane.
Just be quiet, let me see.
Can't sleep, Mr. Blackadder.
I said shut up.
I'm so excited to think that the Scarlet Pimpernel...
Perhaps
We don't need it really, but...
For you, monsieur, there is no data. But of gentlemen, I am proud to introduce France's most vicious woman. Unexpectedly arrived from Paris this morning. Would you please welcome Madame Guillotine herself?
Are these the English pigs?
Yes, that's us.
Leave them with me, Monsieur Ambassadeur. I intend to torture them in a manner so unbearably gruesome, even you will not be able to stand it.
I don't think I will have a problem with her.
No, you will be sick.
What if I stay for the first few minutes and then I leave if I'm feeling queasy?
No, you will be sick immediately.
What if I'm sick quietly in a bag? I mean, what is in your mind?
So, Scum, prepare to be in pain.
Yes, certainly. But first, perhaps a toast to your beauty.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
Yes.
Courage still used, you know.
So I expect you were expected to be rescued. Huh?
Some bloody hope.
On the contrary, I'm just sorry I'm so late.
What?
Gentlemen, I have come to take you to freedom.
Hooray! My God, Smedley! But I thought you were an absolute fathead.
No, just a damn fine actor. Thank God I got here before you took any of those awful suicide pills.
Yes, I suppose if someone had taken one and wished that he hadn't, he'd be able to do something about it.
No, they're very odd things, you see. The symptoms are most peculiar. First of all, the victims become very, very depressed. Oh, God!
But this whole revolution is so depressing. I mean, sometimes I wonder why I bother. I mean, I'm so lonely and nobody loves me.
And after the depression comes death.
No, after the depression comes the loss of temper, you stuck-up bastard! What are you staring at?
And after the temper comes death.
No, after the temper comes the,
Forgetfulness?
Yes, that's it. Comes the,
Forgetfulness.
Yes, right in the middle of a thingy. You completely forget what it was. Nice pair of shoes.
And after the forgetfulness, you die.
Oh no, I forgot one. After the forgetfulness comes a moment of exquisite happiness. Jumping up and down and waving your arms in the air and knowing that in a minute we're all going to be free. Free! Free!
And then death?
No, you jump in a corner first.
What's Theo watches now? Theo
Yes, Mordred.
And you killed him.
I mean, what's the bloody point of being the Scarlet Pimpernel if you're going to fall for the old poison cup routine? Scarlet Pimpernel, my foot. Scarlet Git, more like it. But wait, here's our chance to escape.
What about Mr. Frew?
Forget Frou-Frou. I wouldn't pick my nose to save his life. Now, come on. Frou-Frou, my old friend and comrade. What are you doing here?
Escape? What happened here?
Oh, nothing.
I thought for a moment the Scarlet Pimpernel had saved you.
Chaps, good to see you. Just trying on the new trousers.
I return, sir, as promised. Plus one top French aristocrat, fresh from the Bastille.
Pleased to meet you, monsieur. Do sit down. Damn sorry about the revolution and all that cake. I must awfully bad luck. So tell me, Blackadder, how the devil did you get him out?
Sir, it is an extraordinary tale of courage and heroism which I blush from telling myself, but seeing as there's no one else, I can try. We left England in good weather, but that was as far as our luck held. In the middle of Dover Harbour, we were struck by a tidal wave, and I was forced to swim to Bologna with the unconscious baldric tucked into my trousers. Then we were taken to Paris, where I was summarily tried and condemned to death, and then hung by the larger of my testicles from the walls of the Bastille. It was then that I decided I'd had enough. Bravo! I rescued the Count, killed the guards, jumped the moat, ran to Versailles, where I climbed into Mr. Robespierre's bedroom, leaving him a small tray of milk chocolates and an insulting note. The rest was easy.
That is an incredible story. Worthy of the Scarlet Pimpernel himself.
Well, I wouldn't know.
On the other hand, the word, because your sister
quite hard underneath though.
Second back on the old one.
Well, that's what it's for, isn't it? It's good that you can still get it.
Good Lord! Topper!
Yes, Your Highness.
But Gadsden, by jingo, with dumplings, steak and kidneys and a good solid helping of sprouts. I can't believe it! You're the fellow who has single-handedly saved all those damn Frenchies from the chop.
Not quite single-handedly, sir. I operated with the help of my friend Smith.
They run along with the horses.
He seems to have disappeared for the moment. Slightly mysteriously.
Shut up, boy.
So Blackadder rescued the Scarlet Pimpernel?
No, sir, he did not. Prepare yourself for a story of dishonour and deceit that will make your stomach
Too sky wood.
Well, I say, this is interesting, isn't it, Blackadder?
Not only that, but I trust it will lead to the imprisonment of a man who is a liar, a bounder, and a cad.
Well, bravo! Because we hate liars, bounders, and cads, don't we, Blackadder?
Generally speaking, yes, sir. But perhaps before Lord Topper starts to talk, he might like a glass of wine. He's looking a little shaken.
Shaken, but not stirred. It all began last week. I was sitting in Mrs. Miggin's coffee shop when... Oh, God! All this treachery is so depressing. I mean, the whole thing makes you so incredibly angry! It just makes you wonder... Nice waistcoat, Your Majesty. I'm sorry, I've completely forgotten what I was talking about.
A story of dishonour and deceit.
Oh, that's a great story. That's great. Oh, that's a wonderful story.
Let me just jump into the corner first.
Roast my raisins. He's popped it. Let's say, Blackadder, do you think he really was the Scarlet Pimpernel?
Well, judging from the ridiculous ostentatiousness of his death, I would say that he was.
Well, then, that's a damn shame. Because I wanted to give him this enormous postal order.
Please, sir, let me finish. I would say that he was... You see, the Scarlet Pimpernel would never ever reveal his identity. That's his great secret. So what you're actually looking for is someone who has, say, just been to France and rescued an aristocrat. When asked, are you the Scarlet Pimpernel, he replies, absolutely not.
Blackadder, you've just been to France and you rescued a French aristocrat. Oh, Blackadder, are you the Scarlet Pimpernel?
Absolutely not.
Of course, come this one. Got that one.
Which are UCR saying? UCR. That's right.
My life is forfeit.
They little ones.
My life is forfeit, sir, and at an end, like our poor play. We hope it pleased you, friend.
Certainly not, you murdering rotter! Guards, arrest that man!
I thought she was telling you.
Oh, well, that's all very well, but what about the poor fellow who's dead? Saying it's only a play will not feed and clothe the little ones he leaves behind. Call the militia!
But, sir, he's not dead. See, he stands, awaiting your applause.
Oh, I see, that's very clever. He's really dead. Oh, Robert! Robert!
The prince likes it. Shit. We'll close tonight.
Torpedoes! Smash the spinning jenny! Burn the rolling Rosalind! Destroy the going up and down a bit and then moving along Gertrude! And death to the stupid prince who rode fat on the profits! I say, how exciting! This play's getting better and better! Bravo!
It's not a play anymore, sir. Put the bomb down and make your way quietly to the exit.
You old thing! Your trouble is you can't tell when something's real when it's not. Possibly want to kill you.
I think it might have been you he was after.
Oh, hogwash! What on earth makes you say that?
Well, my suspicions were first aroused by his use of the words, death to the stupid prince.
Wasn't it?
These are volatile times, Your Highness. The American Revolution lost your father, the colonies. The French Revolution murdered brave King Louis. And there are tremendous rumblings in Prussia. Although that might be something to do with the sausages. The whole world cries out peace, freedom, and a few less fat bastards.
Well, yes, quite. Something must be done. Any ideas?
Yes, next week it is your royal father's birthday celebrations. I suggest that I write a brilliant speech for you to recite, to show the oppressed masses how unusually sensitive you are.
Well, tell me about these oppressed masses. What are they so worked up about?
They're worked up, sir, because they're so poor they are forced to have children simply to provide a cheap alternative to turkey at Christmas. Disease and deprivation stalk our land like two giant stalking things. And the working man is poised to overthrow us.
Oh my God, and here he is!
Don't be silly, sir. That's Baldrick, my dog's body.
What's silly about that? He looks like an oppressed mass to me. Get him out of here at once.
Shoo, Baldrick. Carry on with your cleaning elsewhere. By the end of tonight, I want that dining table so clean I could eat my dinner off it.
The reason why they've got barrel sides to continue the
yes, another
tradition.
One, actually.
The
you remember that one I had about wearing underwear on the outside to save on laundry bills? I'm thinking to myself, hello, why don't we ask those two actor chappies we saw tonight to teach me how to recite your speech?
The Guild of Butlers Christmas party. I'm the one who has to wear the red nose and the pointy hat for winning the who's got the stupidest master.
You can understand why they think,
All I can say is you better watch
they're doing it by the law. They ain't doing nothing wrong now. They do bugger all.
Well, that bloke that used to mend our caravan, he was dead against it in his daughter. He says, you should see what is, the poor fox goes through this and other. And he says, well, it's pinned in a corner and all this.
The speech.
I don't know enough about it to make a judgment. What I would say,
if the poor old fox is mauled to death like Coughton with mice, but the kill's pretty quick, I must admit.
I think that's what the issue is really.
Yeah.
But I don't know enough about it. But what I will say is this, and this goes for anything, even smoking, and this is on tape. I don't like it, but as long as you ain't hurting nothing but nobody else, don't like it. But it's a little bit different, and I couldn't make a true judgment on it. Thing is, like when they banned, I think that they banned. And I said to Benny, I said, yeah, watch fishing next, I'll be after that.
You know what I mean? Like, there's lots of women doing it as well. Fluffy pennies.
And from your leading character in a play...
I mean, like them ones doing the clay shoot and they've got to top it. You see, like, that's the thing we've been out and about doing this, although very fun really, but when you've seen that, you don't see it every day.
I quite like the red coats and everything, it just looks very what?
Yeah, no, what was there, in a polo?
What? You got the little plates on the bar.
But the way they rev around them, there's no diffs on them, they're crying out to come on.
And yeah, cold.
Knew it like a frightened tree. May I see the speech tape?
There's an info board there.
Is there a problem with the speech?
Well, yes, there is a problem, actually. The problem is that you wrote it, Mr. Hopelessly, drivelly, can't write for toffee, crappy butler weed.
This officer, yes, preferably something that has first passed through the digestive system of the cat. And you have to take it up yourself. Why? Because I'm leaving, Ulrich. I'm about to enter the job market. Right, let's see. Situation's vacant. Mr. and Mrs. Pitt are looking for a baby minder to take Pitt the Younger to Parliament. A fellow called George Stevenson has invented a moving kettle. Someone to help with the marketing. Oh, and there's a foreign opportunity here. Treacherous, malicious, unprincipled cad, preferably non-smoker, wanted to be King of Sardinia. No time wasters, please. By Napoleon Bonaparte, P.O. Box 1, Paris. Right, we're on our way.
About costume, any thoughts? Well, enormous trousers, certainly. And then I thought perhaps an admiral's uniform, because we know what all the nice girls love, don't we? I tell you what, why don't I go and try them on for you? Help yourself to wine. You'll need a stiff drink when you see the size of these damn trousers.
No idea what a ghastly evening. You're so right, love. Look, while he's gone, why don't we have a quick read through of the murder of Prince Romero and his wrongs?
Act 1, Scene 1. Springer's come with all his gentleman showers. Methinks it is time to act Prince today.
I would like to say how much I will miss your honest and friendly companionship. Oh, thank you.
Maybe.
But as we both know, it would be an utter lie. I will therefore confine myself to saying simply, sod off. If I meet you again, it'll be 20 billion years too soon.
Goodbye, you lazy big-nosed rubber-faced bastard.
I fear, Baldric, that you will soon be eating those badly chosen words. I wouldn't bet you a single groat that you could survive 5 minutes here without me.
Oh, come on, Mr. B. It's not as though we're going to get murdered or anything the minute you leave, is it?
Hope springs eternal.
Let me, and let this dagger's point prick out his soft eyeball, and sup with glee upon its exquisite jelly. Have you the stomach? I have not killed him yet, sir. But when I do, I shall have the stomach and the liver too. And the floppily-doppilies in their horrid glue. What if the servants should hear us in our plotting? Ha-ha! Then shall we have servant sausages for tea. And servant rissoles shall our supper be.
Started!
What?
A plot to kill you!
Ah, so you've come clean at last, have you, you bloody little poor person?
No, not me! The actors downstairs, they're anarchists!
Anarchists?
Yeah, I heard them plotting. They're going to poke out your liver, turn me into rissole, and then suck on your exquisite floppily-doppilis.
What are we going to do?
Well, Mr. Blackadder says when the going gets tough, the tough hide under the table.
Of course, well, where is he?
Oh, he's in Sardinia.
What? Why?
Well, you were rude to him, so he left.
Oh no, what a mad, blundering, incredibly handsome young nincompoop I've been. Oh, what are we going to do? If we go downstairs, they'll chop us up and eat us alive. Oh, do.
Good evening, Your Highness.
Oh, Blackadder.
4 minutes, 22 seconds. Baldric, you owe me a groat.
Come here, we desperately need you.
Over me, sir. Mr. Thicky Black Thicky Addison. Tis Mr. Hopelessly Drivelly Can't Write for Toffee Crappy Butler. Mr. Brilliantly Undervalued Butler who hasn't had a raise in a fortnight.
Take an extra 1,000 guineas per month.
All right, what's your problem?
Well, the actors have turned out to be vicious anarchists. They intend to kill us all.
What, are they going to bore us to death?
No, stab us. Baldric overheard them.
I did.
Are you sure they meant it?
Oh, quite sure. Baldric, how far apart were their legs?
Oh, this far.
Yeah, and their nipples?
That far.
All right, sir.
I was eating the week, coming from that one.
Torture him, my lust. Let's singe his hair.
The
and
road
up
was
his
closed
nostrils. Hot bananas thrust.
Rehearsal's going well, gentlemen. Begone. A mere butler with the intellectual capacity of a Scotch apricot can be of no use to us.
Indeed, yes, sir. Your participation is as irritating as a potted cat.
Yes, the map ties up with that pool or whatever it is down there.
What's there down there? Anyone have a river or whatever it is?
It's bloody clear. Bit slippy there, it feels. Right, this is the narrow gate that I was told about. We will get through, I'm told. afternoon. pull over walkers. Oh.
Say again, Chris.
I'm going to say pull over, but they have.
Okay, mate.
They didn't like you, did they?
The one way.
Well, that one was really scratchy. Now it's just got to work out a route to get back to where we was. Dear. Bit squirrely there at that little junction. Oh, you get all these Land Rovers coming by though, don't you?